Well, hi again, everybody. The season continues for the Robert E. Lee Red Raiders with a home game coming up Friday night against Texas High, and the annual battle with John Tyler is in the books, and Coach Darrell Piske is with us. JT won the game on Friday night 21-0, but there was a lot of things to talk about from that football game, and Coach Piske is here with us. First of all, Coach, you look back on that game, we knew JT was good. We know that. But your defense, I thought, continues. And let's start with the positive first. Continues to make great strides.
Yeah, I mean,
they give up 2 touchdowns. That's not bad against that ball.
Well, Coach Anderson and I talked about that after the game. If you'd have told me ahead of time we were going to hold them to 14 points with that offense they have, then I'd have probably kissed him on Main Street. But, that's the thing. They've been getting better every week. We finally got our personnel where we think we need it to get honed in for district, and now, of course, I feel like that little Aflac duck. You get one hole plugged up, another one bust out. But, offensively, we'll get it back on track this week.
Who played well defensively for you on Friday?
Well, really 11 of them. Yeah. The D-line did good. C.J. Thompson's just getting better at linebacker. Deontay Walker played good at outside linebacker. Secondary held up, a lot better. I was kind of nervous. The athletes they have to be able to tackle them in space, and they did a good job. They contained Ward pretty good, which I didn't think that was possible. But I think he hurt us a couple of times. But, didn't give up the really big play with, Ward scrambling around and throwing it deep to somebody. So, really, overall, the whole defense did well, and we just got to make sure that we continue that progress.
Kind of an odd stat for John Tyler. They actually gained more on the ground than they did through the air, which is unusual the way they play. Even talked to Coach Holmes about it, and he said you guys did a really good job defensively, but that's unusual for them. What about that?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and that's where our guys, in the secondary, they've done a lot better in the last week or so in practice, and then they carried it over to the football game. So defensively, really, I feel good where we are. We just got to make sure we go forward, not backward.
And there was a play, Greg Ward, thankfully, is okay, but right. You got him in the second quarter and knocked him out for a couple of plays. I mean, that game was a physical ball game. You expected that, didn't you?
Both sides. I mean, their defense played really well. They got after us also. There's a lot of good contact games. You like seeing rivalry games like that. But that was good. Ward's a great kid and great athlete and a good asset for them. And you never want to see a kid get hurt. Where he might miss some games, but it was good to see him come back second half. I mean, I wouldn't have minded if he'd have said
yeah. Just for like precautionary purposes, and hold him out.
But it's good to see him come back and get in there.
The young man who made the play on that, Spencer Borup, is not listed as a starter, but you have developed some depth on that side of the ball, haven't you?
Yes, and he's working his way up the charts. I mean, Spencer will fly around now. There's a couple of times he didn't come to balance. He just flew by him, but he's not scared to hit anything. So he's going to continue to increase his playing time if he just continues to work hard and get better.
Let's talk about your defensive line, because, I mean, that's a tough chore going up against John Tyler. They don't have a big offensive line, but everybody's fast.
Yeah, that's right.
And your guys, you talk a little bit about the way those fellas play.
They did good, Coach Reed's rotating some guys in there. I know Tristan Taylor had a great game, and I was kidding him after the game. He was in a bad mood all week.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. He didn't start him, so he was mad about that.
Yeah, so we may not start him ever, but no, he got after it and had a good game. Of course, Edom had a good game. Keith Anderson's solid over there, and Antron Henry, they're all just rolling through there. And it's it's a good thing because you can rest those guys and they can go 100 miles an hour every snap.
Have we settled on the pronunciation of Edom's last name? I'm calling him Asaganasi. Is that right?
Good job. I'm not even going to attempt it.
You don't attempt
call
that?
Him Edom.
Well, he played well though. I mean, he's a pretty good football player.
Yeah, he's good. Junior underclassman, so that's going to be good.
What about the linebackers? Now, Marcus White was a little bit banged up. How much did he actually play for?
He didn't play that much. That ankle was bothering him, and now he's a tough kid, and he got in there, and of course the trainers, they didn't think he'd be able to go at all, but that's just how Marcus is. He got in there and he made some plays, but what it gave us a chance to do is give the Gaines kid and the Matthews kid, give those younger guys a chance to develop. And I think they're going to be fine.
Sean Matthews is that young man's name, I think, right? And then Roderick Gaines, he's a sophomore too, right? Both of those kids are sophomores. Is that right?
Matthews is a junior.
Is a junior. Okay. How'd they do?
They did well. I mean, they're going to get better and better at their reads and reacting a little quicker. The speed of the game's a little different on Thursday night, and especially when you're playing John Tyler. So we were excited to see what we saw out of those two guys, and that'll help Marcus, because he's pretty valuable offensively, and we wasn't able to use him last week. So we'll be able to get that going back like we had it earlier.
It's funny you bring up C.J. Thompson. I've known C.J. since he was a baby, you know, which makes me feel old now to see him as a senior in high school. Okay, but that's another issue.
But he's a good kid. He's just worked his tail off to be what he is, and he's going to continue to get better.
Make it play. First game, I was watching him, and he missed 2 or 3 tackles. He was there, but he didn't wrap up that Lufkin. I mean, that Sulphur Springs game. But Friday night, I mean, if he drew a beat on him, he got him.
Yeah, that's
much,
right.
Didn't he?
Yeah, he's not allowed to break down anymore. You know, just athletically, the second game, the Lufkin game, when he'd break down, you know, they'd kind of out-athlete him and put a move on him, and he'd miss some tackles. But this week he just went through the hip and go, and so we're going to keep him doing that, I hope.
And what about the secondary?
You know, really, they played pretty well. I mean, David, you look at the Ross kid, they threw that fade route, and boy, he played it just textbook, got his hand in between, and then kept the pressure. And Ross, you know, he's a great athlete, and almost made the catch, but David rode it to the ground and got it out.
Right.
And so I was really pleased with them. Number one, they didn't give up the big play. And number two, they played in space pretty well.
Offensively, not as good. Not less than 150 yards on the ground. Was that John Tyler? I mean, I know they played pretty well.
Well, it's a combination thereof. You know, we offensive line didn't have a good game. Our running backs didn't stay patient. You know, in a rivalry game like that, I think they want to try to do too much. So we would bounce it and go backwards and lose 8 or 10 yards, when if we'd have just stayed point of attack and said, hey, I'm going to get positive yards, you know, we can work with I know there was one play, it was 2nd and 8, I believe, and we bounced it and tried to go backwards and lost, you know, and it's a pretty crucial time of the game there in the third quarter, and we lost about 8 to 12 yards somewhere there, so now it's 3rd and long, whereas if we'd have stayed point of attack and say, hey, I'm going to get 2 yards, now we have 3rd and 6, which is manageable.
You said on the radio at halftime that your guys weren't trusting the holes they had there. Is that what you're talking about there?
Yes, sir. Just trying to cut it back, not staying point of attack and being patient. Just really trying to do too much.
Sometimes 2-yard gain's not that bad, is it?
Not anything positive's good.
Right.
We want 4, and then, you know, I tell them we get 4 yards, then you can do what you want. Just don't go backwards or fumble it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, mathematically 4 times 3 is pretty good.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, when you only need 10, that's pretty good.
So that's what we're trying to get in their mindset. And so, you know, we got some new backs with LaTerrence and, of course, using Damien back there, trying to get those guys mixed in. Really personnel-wise, you know, you had Jordan back, trying to get him some reps and trying to see if we can get him back to where he was in the spring. And, you know, that was really like his first live action since the spring when he broke his fibula. So he's going to be rusty. Second half, he did a better job of running the football, making his reads and pulling the ball and running it. Now we've got to try to get him comfortable in the pocket.
Clearly, John Tyler, they came to shut down LaQuintus Wallace.
That's right.
I mean, it was on their mind.
Yes.
From the opening, from the time they got off the bus till the time they got back on the bus.
Well, like we talked about last week, that's all they've heard for a year.
Yeah.
Tyler Lee runs all over them, and they wasn't going to let us run all over them, and we knew that. And defensively, they're pretty athletic and pretty fast.
Passing game, there just wasn't much of it. Now, you did complete a pass to Weeks, and that got called back.
Yeah, that was big, and that's what our guys got to learn to overcome. You know, they hadn't had much success in a while, so a lot of times all of us can know that whether it be conscious or subconsciously, when bad things happen, we kind of drop our head, and that was a big play, you know, because we'd talk in the locker room about going down, we're going to score on this first drive and tie the ball game up and go win the football game, and then we get that big setback, and I think we kind of had a mental letdown there.
Quarterbacks, how'd they play?
You know, they really
was it a step back for them at that position a little bit?
Really, both of them, because what they got to get in their mind, I talked to them on Saturday about it, is there's things that Jordan does better than Riley, and there's things that Riley does better than Jordan. And so we've either got to get them both where they can do it equally and one of them take over, or they've got to understand this is my role on the team. When I come in, I do this, and when I come in, I do this. And it can still work, and you can have one guy, even though they may play at different times in the game, you can combine them and still do all the things you want to do offensively. And, you know, Jordan just gives us more of a run threat. In the spring, he threw the football great. And so we've just got one more week to see if we can get him back to where he was in the spring so we can roll into district with what we think is our best chance.
And again, Poster, who I think has a pretty nice touch on the ball, was forced to, he was rolling out, running all night long.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so, you know, the pressure, it was pretty tough on Friday night. I mean, they were coming to get him and stuff like that. So we got to learn how to handle up. We got to do a better job up front. mixing our backs in. I thought our backs did a decent job in pass protection from what I saw on film this weekend.
This is your last non-district game, and really, just in all honesty, I mean, you really, really need this game.
We're going to win. I mean, I told the kids Saturday, if we don't win Friday, there's going to be, there's going to be a lot of dead coaches, dead players, because we're going to practice every day to win,
right.
And we're going to go out and we're going to win the game on Friday night. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's time.
Yeah.
So we're going to get it going Friday.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I sensed last week, was that this is a game that really, the rest of the season in a lot of ways hinges on what you do Friday.
Yeah, because it's hard. These guys are doing good at staying positive, but eventually you got to have something good happen, or you can just go back to the same old that you've been dealing with for a couple of years. And so it's a very important game, and I told them Saturday, I don't care if we're playing Dallas Cowboys, we're going to win the game next Friday night. So
they played on
maybe we'd rather play Dallas. But that's just how serious it's going to be. It's how we're going to approach it this week, and there's not going to be any question marks on, hey, we're just going out to try to improve. We're going out to win the football game on Friday.
All right, fair enough. All right, we'll talk more about Texas High in a moment, because they're a pretty good 4A football program. But first, let's roll some video. It was 21-0 John Tyler on Friday night. Robert E. Lee did a pretty good job on the defensive side of the ball, as you've heard Coach Piske talk about. And the Red Raiders are the home team, so here you are in the dark uniform.
I'm going to guess this is Deontay coming off the edge.
Deontay Walker, the safety.
Yeah,
here he comes.
Outside backer. Did a good job. Didn't wrap him up, but sometimes you don't have to when you hit him like that.
That's what you call hit him in the mouth.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Isn't
right.
that what the old cliche
right.
is? Yeah.
Send the mouthpiece going the other direction.
He really had a pretty good start to the year for you, too.
Yeah, he has, and he's getting better and better. There's Ward breaking out in the open. There's CJ making an open field tackle, which, that's pretty impressive to get Ward down. Oh, don't know what happened here. We got an offensive highlight. Back did a good job cutting on the edge.
Was that LaQuintus there?
Yeah.
Okay. They did a good job on him, though.
Yeah, they did.
What do you call this formation
here? That's our
here?
two-back gun stuff.
Okay.
It's our Raider stuff. That's it. Damian Sanders got good speed. We got to get him involved in the offense, and that's where we kind of got to on Friday night. Is we've got so many new guys that can do something with the football. Now we're almost where we're.
Is he a transfer?
Yeah, he came in from White House.
From White House, yeah, that's what I thought. I'm going, where's he been? He's a senior. Right?
Yeah, he's been over at White House and moved into the district. Actually, I think he lived over here and went to White House, but transferred over.
Now with Ward, you kind of have to surround him, don't you?
Yeah, you got to understand angles and know that sometimes even those angles aren't going to work out real well. This is Marquiston Williams on the reverse here, made a good cut. We'd show flashes on Friday night in our regular and in our two-back gun stuff, and then we'd have a mistake or a penalty or something to take away the momentum, so we just could never get it gelling. We went back Friday night and Saturday morning and just simplified and took a lot of stuff out and just said, here's what we're going to get good at. That's probably showing Loomy's punt there. He's pretty good. I think he averaged 48 yards on 9 punts.
Young man's got a leg on him. All right, here you're back on defense. Is this the bore up? No, it's
not. No, this is the Davier playing that fade route. Ross went up. Davier did, what he's taught to do, get that hand between.
Yeah, he had it for a moment, and Davier, when he got to the ground, he didn't have it.
That's right.
This is a nice play. You watched, and then a body slam.
I think that's Spencer.
Spencer Bora.
Yeah.
And Greg went out, came back into the ball game, Greg Ward, but it was a nice defensive play. Here's another Cava punt. We're looking at the coverage here, I think, are we not?
Well, I think he pinned them down there pretty good. I mean, he's booming them, inside the 20. Anytime you can pin them down there, especially an offense like that, and make them go the length of the field, it'll help you. You had a bad game offensively when you're showing punt for highlights. That's, I think that's little Gaines coming through at linebacker.
Yeah, he's just a 10th grader, so got a bright future. Here we go again.
Again, see the backs blocking off the edge good. Sniper got him.
Tackled by the 42-yard line?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's what I think I said on the radio. Looked like Aquinas had a lot of running room there, though. That was going to be a big play.
Yeah, just pretty typical of the night.
Screen pass.
Screen pass here. Receivers doing a good job staying with their blocks downfield. I think it's Marquiston's kickoff return.
All right, here's the senior Marquiston Williams.
No, it's little Bryce. He's a junior. And Marquiston's a junior also.
Okay.
Yeah, those guys. I think that's when we made them re-kick it. Worked out pretty good.
Bryce Wilkerson.
Yeah. I think that's Tristan.
He's a junior too, isn't
he? Yeah. I get pretty excited, you know, when you start looking at them and you see some of these guys and go, hey, you know, he's a junior, so there's going to be some stuff. It's a good job going heel line there. So of course, I think that's CJ or Spencer.
I saw 4 in there. Mm-hmm. Both of them are playing well, and both those kids are seniors, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. Speed option. Jordan started, you know, finally in the second half he started making the cuts we saw him make in the spring. You know, he was tentative early, which I mean, I can understand if I broke my leg, that was my first live action, I'd probably be kind of tentative myself.
Good pass rush again. Greg Ward's hard to sack, so
yeah,
if you
really,
get him, that's,
pretty impressive. They really did a great job. I think it was the 3rd and forever that he picked it up on. Another good job. Davier breaking it up. You know, that's the same things we were doing in the first half. He just wasn't reading that and pulling it. Or when he should have give it, he pulled it and kind of got better in the second half. You know, it's important that we get Jordan some reps.
I think that's the final play of the sequence, I believe, is again, the Lions won the ball game. They're now 2-1, and they go on the road this week. And you're back home. Now, Texas High is a long-time power in 4A. They've been pretty consistently good over the year. Now, they didn't play this week, so they're coming in like, what, 2-0 or 1-1? I
think they're 1-1. They beat Arkansas High, and then Evangel out of Louisiana got them pretty good. They, of course, watching that film, Evangel's pretty good. Threw the ball on them for a bunch of yards, and so you know they're going to be ready. They lost a game somewhere, so they've actually got 2 open weeks coming up on the calendar. This one, and they got 1 more down the road. So they're going to be tough. Coach Norton's done a great job. Got a good program. That's the key. He's got a program over there. So every year they're going to believe they can win, and usually they do.
They have the same scheduling problems you do, though. They're sitting out here in East Texas, and they're as far as you can get.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think they played Louisiana school and an Arkansas school.
Yeah, that's right.
You're the first Texas school they played.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm sure it is a nightmare, and you know, and then they're pretty good, so nobody wants to play them a lot.
Right, that's just it. I mean, if they weren't very good, people would be happy to come over and play them.
It'd be easy to get a schedule. So really, you like it when it's hard to schedule games because that means you're pretty good.
It means you're pretty good.
Yeah. So.
As you putting out, Coach Huffsticker put this schedule together. As you move forward, what's your philosophy going to be on these non-district games? Well,
it just depends on, you know, next year, of course, they'll be the same, but with realignment, you're looking at numbers, seeing what the UIL is going to do, and try to figure out, you know, you want some good opponents on there, which we have. You know, the Euless Trinities and those guys of the world, there's times when your program's at a place where you need to play those guys to get you ready. You know, the schedule this year is a fair schedule. Good competition, but it's not Euless Trinity and the Woodlands and those guys because we're really not, you know, can't compete with them at this time. So really that's what you look at. You just look at where your team is and what you need. Then you got to find people that'll play you and, you know, look at distance and that travel and that kind of thing. So we'll get to experience that here after next year.
And people who are not familiar with how this works, I mean, now college is scheduled years in advance. But you guys really, it's a 2-year process. Yeah. Every realignment's when you basically do this, right?
Yeah, and you get, you know, you got teams like John Tyler. We're always, whether we're in their district or not, always going to play John Tyler, and so you get games.
Kind of that way with Lufkin.
Yeah, you get games like that you're going to play them. They've always played and done things like that, and so you usually have some that's locked down, but then you get some that you hadn't played in a while. Sulphur Springs and guys like that. You know, for some reason the other guy may not want to play anymore, or you may not want to play anymore, and you just have to fill those holes.
And people, again, a lot of that happens right after the realignment's announced. Don't you guys all get in a room basically? And
well, really, you go ahead. Yeah, we'll start wheeling and dealing next year. You know, before the season even starts, and through the regular season, we'll be talking to guys and trying to line things up, and then you get that packet handed to you and see how much damage the UIL did to your schedule. Sometimes it works out good, and sometimes you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to find games and do that kind of thing. So we try to prepare ahead of time to where they can't they can't damage it when they hand me that packet, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
Well, in this, was it easier, do you think, scheduling? You've coached at just about every classification level in Texas. Is it easier at, say, 3A when you're at Fairfield, for instance? Would it be easier to schedule there or easier to schedule at the 5A level?
You know, I think they're pretty similar. It depends on where your program is. You know, at Fairfield, we the UIL for the first time in 2 realignments. Really, I've never gotten hosed at the realignment when they hand me my packet and had to find games. I'm usually making fun of the guys that's running around scrambling. And this year it turned out that I lost 2 games, and so we were scrambling. Then they ended up in that 5-team district, so I had to find an extra game.
Right,
so yeah, it turned into quite the deal. And somebody had picked up my briefcase, and I was running around with no numbers, just a phone. It was really kind of funny to everybody but me.
So Fairfield's in a 5-team district, meaning they got 6 non-district games. Is that right?
Yeah.
How do you find 6 non-district? Well, Tyler had to do it a few years ago.
Well, they were playing Glen Rose for that 6th game, and that's about a 2.5-hour drive, maybe further.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
But Tommy Duncan over there ended up in the same boat. So really, it just, you know, if you do a good job ahead of time, you can usually have them lined up. And that's a good thing, really, honestly, about 5A is you're not going to get any surprises and get thrown in a 5-team district and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
So it makes it a little easier.
Have you heard the stories about the double round robin? Anybody told you about
No.
that? Several years ago, we had that situation here where when Marshall
That's right.
and Nacogdoches all went down.
Yeah.
Went left with a 4-team district, and nobody wanted to be in the district before they finally got Mesquite in here. So Lee, John Tyler, Lufkin, Longview. You got a 4-team district, and they play a double round robin.
I think I remember that. That's probably been
Murderers Row. That's been
while,
6 or 7 years ago. Yeah,
I remember.
But you played everybody twice.
Oh, shoot. I feel like I'm back at Tarleton.
I mean, that's, you know, you don't want that. And
No.
they did that for 2 years.
Wow.
And said never again.
Yeah,
At that point, the UAL demanded that the Mesquite schools come over to this district because they had opted out the first time and talked their way out of it.
Yeah, and that's not fair to these guys over here.
No, it really isn't. But East Texas fights that battle because, and I would think that the Abilenes of the world and the people out west have a little bit of that same deal going, don't they?
Yeah, they've got, you know, they got, of course, Midland Lee, and those guys all out that way. But they battle it a little bit, but it usually works out. And, you know, hopefully they won't let anything like that happen again.
What do you want for this team that you haven't seen right now, other than obviously a win? But, I mean, what needs to put all that together?
Seniors, you know, I want the seniors to step up and take control. You really, every team I've ever been associated with, and most coaches tell you this, is you're only as good as your senior leadership. And they've done a good job so far, but now it's time they get us over the hump. You know, personally take ownership of the team and whatever we got to do to get it done, get it done.
Because it's their last go-round.
It's it. I mean, if we don't get it rolling and stuff, then they're going to have 3 years of their high school career that weren't a lot of fun. So we're going to fix it Friday night, and then we're going to, you know, face, of course, Mesquite Horn, one of the best teams in the district that first week. But we're going to win enough games. We're going to get in the playoffs, and by the time playoffs, you know, you never know where
you never know what you're going to be. But again, I mean, and what these young men need to realize, I mean, they haven't had a lot of success. They haven't, you know, so just to win one game might lead to 3 or 4 more.
That's right. Yeah, we've talked about it in that coach's office late at night for a few weeks now, that when we get one, we may get a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But you know, it's getting that first one and overcoming the struggles that you have to do to win these games against good opponents. And once they do that, then they realize, you know what, we can do it. And so that's what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm no coach, but my impression is, I haven't seen every play of all 3 of your games, is that you're a pretty good football team that's kind of forgotten how to win.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
And that's how it usually is when a program's been struggling a little bit, because these guys grew up, you know, watching these seasons or being a part of these seasons, and it's getting that mind right. That's the hardest part, is getting the mental part right. And so, you know, you just got to keep hammering and making sure they understand you believe in them. And then it's, you know, eventually it comes down to this week where, you know, there's no more we shoulda, woulda. We're going and let's get it done.
Do you, all right, now as far as Texas High is concerned, they've been kind of a spread team the last few years. They've had some pretty good quarterbacks. One of them's playing in the NFL, Ryan Mallett.
Yeah.
Right now, are they still that?
They're still pretty good. Coach Norton's son's quarterback, number 12, that does a good job. They got a little running back, number 2, that's pretty shifty and got good speed. You know, defensively, they got speed all over the field, a lot like John Tyler. They've got a defensive tackle, 99, Trayvon or something like that. It's just unbelievable. We may have to have all 5 just block him. We'll take our chances with those other 3, but there'll be a 4-3 scheme, and they're going to be a challenge. But if we'll just execute like we did the first 2 games, not this 3rd game, then we'll be able to move the football.
You know, people remember Texas High as an old rival. I mean, they've been, you know, an East Texas team used to be in the district together. So this means as much to them as it does to you, too.
Yeah, just in a different way. I mean, we're at a different place in our program,
Right.
and it's time we win a football game and get rolling. So, you know, we're going to come out with that attitude, and, you know, that's what I've told the kids. It's 3 weeks in a row we've been standing in our locker room at halftime going, hey, victory's here. You just got to go take it, and we've let it slip through our fingers. So it's time we just go take it from the start.
All right, let's talk a little bit about, just while we in the last couple of minutes we have left, just an overview of what the 9th and the JVs are doing right now for you, because those kids are working hard too.
I believe the 9th is, let's see, they beat Sulphur.
1-1-1, I think.
Yeah, that's right. They got beat by Lufkin, I think, 28-27.
Lost a 1-point game and tied John Tyler.
Yeah, up 13. I think the freshmen were up 13 in the 4th quarter against Lufkin and turned it over 3 times and let that escape. But they're doing a good job. And, of course, John Tyler, last week they tied. We shortened the game, you know, because of the weather situation. The JV was 2-0. They got beat last week, gave up 2 big plays to John Tyler and got beat 14-0. So they're doing good. We've got, you know, we actually have 2 JVs going right now. The JV White actually lost a heartbreaker the first week to Brownsboro. And then last week they went down to Longview to play Longview and ended up getting the game called. They were down 12-6 when the game was called. So got a lot of kids playing on Thursday nights and Friday nights, so that's important to the program to build for the future.
And don't they all play at Texas High this week? Now,
Yeah.
all the underclass.
Well, the freshman red and white and the JV red all play at Texas High.
Okay.
The JV white's going to Fairfield.
Going to Fairfield,
trying
get 'em a game. Okay.
Pick up a game, you know, everywhere we can get them.
You had a little pull there. You get that.
Well,
right?
Coach Bechter called looking for a game this summer, and I said, "Heck, we're gonna have a
Right,
2 JV
yeah.
teams, so we'll schedule it." And I guess I need to call him and make sure he hadn't changed his mind.
Hadn't changed his mind.
Yeah,
Don't show up down there with that.
Yeah.
With that and not have a game. But the varsity game is here, and so good. You know, again, just the importance of this game and what you look for out of your guys on Friday night. Talk a little bit about what you expect.
Well, we're expecting to number one, progress defensively from where we were last week, and as well as we played last week, we've got to continue to get better because we're going to face some great teams, you know, down the road, starting this Friday night with Texas High. But offensively, we've got the pieces of what we want to do with the add-in people and how we want to use them, and now we've got to go out and execute it on Friday.
And again, it's a busy time for your coaches. I mean, these guys are working hard. I mean, people don't realize just how much effort that these guys put into this.
Well, and it's your heart and soul. I mean, it's your whole livelihood and your families. You know, especially from a head coach and coordinator standpoint. Most time, if they get a new head coach, they get new coordinators. So those guys feel the pressure and they want to do well, and it's hard on those guys. But you know, it's fun when you finally pull it off and get it done. So it makes it all worth all the risk you take.
Good luck this week.
Appreciate it.
All right, again, that's a Friday night game at Trinity Mother Francis Rose Stadium. The Tigers from Texas High coming to call. Should be a renewal of a really fun, long time East Texas rivalry. The Red Raiders deserve and need your support as they look for that first win heading into district. For Coach Piske, I'm Bill Coates. Thanks for joining us.